Good morning, folks. This is Janie. I'm back on my channel again. You probably haven't seen any videos for a while. That's because if you saw one of my other videos, my electric canner crapped out. So it's been a constant, see, it's going on about 6 weeks now, trying to get that situation rectified. I've called the company, got it sent back. It'll be, they said, at least a couple of weeks before. They have no update. They don't know anything about it. I'm not understanding why they just can't send me another pressure canner. But anyway, so I'm not in the kitchen. I'm not pressure canning anything. I water bathed a lot of stuff. I'm needing to get started on my pressure canning, my beans, my chili mix, all of those, and get those started going. So me and my sidekick Wilbur and my girl Maggie, we're all sitting here just hanging out this morning. So I'm thinking, if anybody saw my reel, I took some kind of scruffy looking carrots. I was just cleaning out my carrot bed, thinning it out, and had a couple of really nice carrots, and nothing, major. But if you look at my reel, it's some, I cleaned them all up and everything, and I'm thinking, what can I make out of these carrots? I'm throwing them in the freezer, and I plan on putting a lot of the small ones and stuff, and they'll be really good to go in soups, add to soups and stuff for the when soup season rolls around this winter. But what can I do with them now? I'll bite into one, and it's got such a good flavor. So, nothing like you'll ever get in the store. So I'm like, what can I do with these? So if you are a person that does BOGOs or buy one, get one free type things. I was in Publix, earlier this year, and they had 10 boxes of the 1 pound boxes of noodles for $10. So basically they were $1 a piece. So I'm like, cool, I can always use noodles to make the kids macaroni and cheese and stuff like that. So I got me just a selection of 2 or 3 of each. So I grabbed one of those boxes, and if you see the reel, I made some macaroni salad, and it's just took those carrots, and that was my garden inspiration. What can I make with this? Very little. So I took a half an onion, those carrots that I had, put all them through the food processor, sliced those all up, made me my $1 box of noodles, 2 cups of mayonnaise, a fourth a cup of milk, and had some fresh parsley. So I wanted a little bit of green in there. So what can I throw in there for greens? You can do spinach. You can do just something to give you that little bit of nutrition, a little bit more nutrition in there. But I had parsley, so I needed to cut that anyway. It was starting to bolt. The blooms were it was starting to bloom. So I went and cut me a bunch of that, put it all up in there, and oh my goodness, it turned out great. It was watery at first, and in the picture you see that it's watery, but I'll show you a picture of it now. I'm eating me some, and for breakfast. My goodness, it was very good. So if you cook or bake or do whatever intentionally, and sometimes I don't follow the instructions. My husband gets so mad at me. I don't follow the instructions all the time. But with all this new baking and all these new recipes and everything, I'm following everything to the T. But like I said, I added the parsley in there. So my thinking is, what if I did a pantry challenge? Now, maybe a lot of you may not know what a pantry challenge is, but in the world of people that can do canning and have cabinets, pantries full of canning stuff. So at the end of the season, so this is usually like November, December, January, February. So they do it those 4 months. And that kind of cleans out your pantry, gets all of the canning that you've done, got it pulled forward, use it all. So the thinking is, for those of you that may not know this, and I'm thinking about doing a pantry challenge for about 4 weeks. And if anybody, you all can hit me up if anybody's interested. we'll start doing that, and we'll have like weekly check-ins or even daily. Hey, what can I do with this? What can I make with that? What can I put together for dinner? So I haven't really got all the rules. Sometimes some of them do, you have $25 a week that you can spend. So if you need cat food, dog food, creamer for your coffee or something like that, that's one thing. But some pantry challenges, you cook what you have in your pantry, what you have in your freezer, what you can bake, what you can make. And the whole idea behind this is, I'll tell you a couple stories. Back in the day when I used to work, April 27th, people around here will know that date. I can't remember what year it was, but it's been, gosh, it's probably been 10 years ago. But there was a tornado that hit my area, and so many people at work ride around on empty. So my husband he went up to Tennessee, and we have these great big gas, I don't know how big they are, but like race car gas tanks. So he filled a bunch of those. He went up to Tennessee. And it's not that we didn't have the gas in this area, it's we had no electricity. So you can have all the gas in the world, but if you can't pump it or you have no way to ring it up, that's how our modern world has us so paralyzed. We can't do anything manually. Once all that gas is in the ground, there's no way to get it up. So he went to Tennessee, and then we got 3 people, a couple of gallons of gas each, some of my coworkers, for them to be able to work. Then they're trying to figure out how to feed themselves. If you can't go to the grocery store and buy, I got a piece of carrot. If you can't go to the grocery store and buy food, you can see the food there, but there's no electricity. There's no way to ring it up. They don't know how to check you out. You don't know how to purchase it. And then you have all the gouging done. My question is to everybody, would you be able to live out of your house for 2 weeks, at the very minimum, 2 weeks, and be able to feed your family? And that's where I'm kind of going with this. I know that the Pantry Challenge is fun, and they participate in this, and it cleans out your pantries and stuff like that. But I'm thinking from a perspective, like a year or 2 ago, I got dressed that morning, and go get groceries. I wasn't canning at that time. I didn't have a garden. I was just like the average person that went to work every day. Well, it was my day off. So I drove to the little town near my where I live, about 10 miles down the road, and there's no lights working. There's no traffic lights. So I start looking around on Facebook, and on the page, I guess they had a storm or something, and the transformer blew out. So the little grocery store that I shop at, that has all of the meats and stuff on sale that I buy, I couldn't buy anything. They had all the meat and food and groceries in the world, and I needed to get gas that day. I had to drive to the next town, and I didn't get no groceries because they had sales on stuff and everything. And I thought, surely in a couple of hours or something, it'll be back on. So I drove to the next town, did a couple of errands, got my gas, came back. Still no electricity. I think it was the next day before they had their electricity. But my point is, like on April 27th, I had my gas grill going. I made pizzas out of tortillas. Didn't have a whole lot of bread. I didn't have chickens at that time. But I was cooking with stuff that I had in my house. And, not really in a panicked mode, but say you have a baby and you need that formula. You need to put back a can of formula for emergencies only. The same thing with my gas tank. I don't drive under half a tank of gas, and I'm getting gas. But there's a lot of little hints and a lot of little tricks that you can do. So if something happens like that, say in the middle of the night, on that April 27th, we were without electricity for 2 weeks. We had 2 generators. We had a third one that was a small generator that we lent to the neighbor because one of the kids was on oxygen only at night. So we ran that generator for him at night to have his oxygen tank. But I was out here cooking on my gas grill, had my grill. We had our camper, and these are things that you don't think about because I was going to work, and we have a gym, so we have showers and stuff. So I was going to work taking showers. Well, after about 3 or 4 days, and then my days off, I'm like, I want to get a shower. Didn't even think about it. But the hunting camper is sitting in the driveway off to the side. And my husband's like, look, I'll just pull the camper out and we have the propane tank and you can take a shower. Didn't even think about that for about the first, 3 or 4 days. You're just in a state of, oh my God, I can't go to the grocery store and pick up this and pick up that. So there's a lot of things that you can do to, even in your modern time, if you if you don't garden, you don't have your own chickens, there's a lot of things that you can do that you can put up and a lot of knowledge that you can have. You don't have to bake bread all the time. I don't bake bread in the summertime. I bake bread in the wintertime. And it took a while for me to, I had some pretty kind of crazy looking breads come out, but I've tried to stay simple, got back to the simple things, not trying to add all this crazy stuff that people try and tell you to add this, it'll help, add that. I went back to the simple straight recipe, have been having great success with bread. But can you take flour, water, do you have any yeast? You can take some yeast, some packets of yeast, and put them in your freezer and keep them for a long time. Just in case that point comes up. Do you have the knowledge how to whip up a loaf of bread if you needed bread? Milk, do you keep at least a couple of boxes of powdered milk on your shelf? Just for those emergency times, to have an emergency kit. But if anybody would be interested in doing this pantry challenge, I can do say $25 a week you have to spend to go to the grocery store to pick up those little things that you need. But we can walk through and do meal preps. What do you have in your kitchen? Everybody can share. What do I do with this can of this or the can of that? What can I make out of a meal? And then start shopping your pantry. And then before you know it, you start cleaning out all those foods and all those boxes and all those cans that have been stored for so long and a lot of people end up cleaning out their pantry and they donate a lot of stuff, or stuff goes out of date. Do you know how to rotate all that out? So you want to bring all that out and figure out, how can I make meals up and put them in a freezer? Now, we had our 2 generators that ran the refrigerator and ran the freezer. And just luckily, April 27th, it was beautiful weather the whole time. Got a little bit warm through the day, so we'd plug in a fan. But other than that, we didn't need air conditioning. We didn't need any kind of heat. And so we'll talk about that later on. But if anybody would be interested in joining this pantry challenge, I'm thinking about doing 4 weeks with a minimum of 2 weeks. If you want to keep up with 2 weeks and then drop off, that's great. But I want to go through each week on some extra meals that you can prep and get them in the freezer. And if that's all you had was a generator to run your freezer for 2 weeks, can you do it? Do you have the gas for it? And you have the means to be able to feed your family for at least 2 weeks? And that's what we were out on April 27th. We were out of electricity for 2 weeks. So, and we weren't even hit here with the electricity. It was the surrounding areas. But when it takes out the electricity in surrounding areas, you don't know how long you're going to be without electricity, or your local grocery store, or your local gas station. So these are some things I'm thinking about, and some things that I really think that are essential, that people need to have a plan together and think about. And that's one way of being food secure. I talk about being food secure with having my chickens, having my garden, doing my canning, but there's other ways that you can be food secure without having to do all that. Say that 3 times real fast. But there are other things that you can think about and just have knowledge. You don't have to be a canner. You don't have to be a baker, but just having the knowledge of that you can put. I had the pop open biscuits, which I don't make anymore, but can you make a biscuit dough and you put it in between 2 pie pans or aluminum pan and put it on the burner outside, and you can have biscuits. We took some next door and stuff, and they're like, "Where are you getting biscuits from? How are you making biscuits?" I make them on the stove outside. Those are just things that you need to try periodically to see if it turns out, or these are things that I can do in an emergency, and you can be food secure and not panicked and run and get milk and butter and milk and bread like everybody runs and gets during storms and stuff like that. So if anybody would be interested in joining this food pantry, it'll be on my other group, Backyard Living, and we'll just go from week to week and figure out what we can make in meals, go through the pantry, go through the freezer, and get some stuff made up. And you just have to look around and see what you have as far as also in meats. If you have some meats left over, and I don't really make a big roast, or I don't make but you want hamburger meat. Do you have a grinder? And it don't have to be an expensive one. You have a grinder with some fat, and you know how to make up hamburger meat. You know how to make up different things. And this is part of being, survival skills, and having, being food secure. And you never know, your neighbor may not have this knowledge, and you may need to maybe help out your neighbor. And I made them a pan of biscuits and took them over there to them, and made them a couple of pizzas. We got over here and we invited them over. We made some pizzas out of tortillas. I cooked all those up and just made some ingredients and just cooking everything that I had. And just luckily, if you're like me, I keep different cheeses and different stuff like that. But I think I can make it a month off of everything that I have, because I do can, and I have chickens and stuff like that. But your knowledge could help a coworker, a neighbor, somebody like that. So just let me know if you all would be interested in joining. You can get joining on my my Facebook page, on my other page, and we'll start rolling with this probably, let's see, where are we at? September, probably September, October timeframe. We'll pick out 4 weeks, and we want to do it before the holidays because it's a great time. Clean out your pantry, get your pantry cleaned out, and then start off fresh with the holidays and fill your pantry back up with all the holiday cooking. So thank you for spending a little bit of time with me and listening to me. And if this is something that you'd be interested in, that you would think would be beneficial, I would like to share some of my knowledge with you, and we can share with each other, and something you can help a neighbor, or you can help a friend with. And in times of crisis, we all try and help each other out. So thank you for listening to me, and let me know if you want to join this group and see if we want to do some canning together, or some food prep really together, and get some time that we can get together and do weekly shots on what we can make, and some tips that we can do to survive a couple of weeks without no electricity, or no electricity surrounding us. Thank you, and have a good day.